Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026, and we'd like to welcome everyone to the board meeting. Commissioner Scar will be remote, so you'll see her on the screens. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. Our meeting is live streamed, and you can join us online by going to our website. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone in the room to mute their phone. And if you're online, you can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute your phone when your agenda item is ready to be discussed. For those joining via computer, please unmute your microphone and turn on your camera when your agenda item is called. All others must remain muted with their cameras turned on. Thank you. I hope you all signed the guest book. If you didn't, please do so on your way out. And we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mel, do you lead us? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have quite a full agenda today and then a public hearing and then an executive session. So it's gonna be a long day for some of us. So we will start off with agenda item 5. Oh, first of all, any public comment? No public comment. No non-agenda items. We'll move on. Agenda item 5 is employee recognition for August 2026. For continuous years of service, Kelly Fulton, HR technician. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you this month.
Great. I'm gonna have to speak up because I don't have my microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, we're getting you a microphone.
Stage voice.
We're getting you a microphone.
Oh, thank you.
We'll get you 2 microphones.
I can do it.
Well, we have to make sure that Erin can hear you, so.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Erin. Testing. All right. It is time to recognize the county employees having anniversaries this month and thank them for their continued service. Our county team is made up of many talented individuals, and here are the people we celebrate in August. The big cheese this month is our very own Mary Jo Beckstead in Human Resources, 26 years. Lizzie Loftus in the Assessor's Office, 20 years. Melissa Paulison, Health and Human Services, 12 years. Jamie Craig, Health and Human Services, 10 years. Shane Heyman, Public Works, 9 years. Brian Dorsey, Public Works, 9 years. Chris Lady, Public Works, 9 years. Scott Griffith, Sheriff's Office, 8 years. Dave Matai in Parks, 7 years. Chris Koskela in Sheriff's Office, 7 years. Megan Ivy at the library, 5 years. Chris Barnett, Sheriff's Office, 5 years. Easton Stein, Public Works, 4 years. Seth Van Spabrock in Community Development, 4 years. Rachel Cardwell in Finance, 4 years. Michael Haynes, Public Works, 3 years. Emery Edwards, Health and Human Services, 2 years. Sarah Thompson, Surveyor's Office, 2 years. Katrina Bailey at the library with 1 year, and Paige Neerman at Community Development, 1 year.
Great. Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Well, we are very grateful for our workforce. Our workforce is just our greatest asset as a county. I love it that Dave Mattice is in the room this morning. So congratulations on your 7 years and thank you for your service to Tillamook County Parks for 7 years. Dave is vital to operations of parks, and I feel that we are fortunate that you're growing, you're staying, and you're growing in your career, taking on more responsibility. And, I hope that you will stay with Parks forever and make a career out of it. And I'm pointing you out because you're in the room, obviously, but in a larger way, that's what I hope for everybody on this list. I hope that we all stay, because as people put in time and gain experience and get more responsibility, everything works better, and the public is better served. So it's really, we're lucky to have people here for a long time, and we're lucky to have people here for a short time, and I hope they stay. So, and congratulations on 7 years.
Great, thank you. I concur with that. And I have to say one thing, is Mary Jo.
Yeah.
She's like the one
26.
constant that's been here. I remember when I first got hired in 2001, and she was here doing the same thing she's been doing, and she's great. So everybody on this list, I'm super excited and surprised by some of the years, as always. Thank you. And thank you, David. So, thank you, Kelly. Oh, Aaron, I keep forgetting you're online.
Well, I told that Debbie she could leave me just as a thumbnail, but maybe she has to pin me so you don't forget me, Commissioner Fournier. But I don't want to be that big in the room. I would just share the comments of my colleagues. Our employees, as we say every month, are the county. The services we provide are not widgets, it's customer service. And these are the people who provide that. So thank you to everyone who works for the county, who stays with us, who does the amazing job that keeps the county ticking and keeps the services to the public that just very, very sharp. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Scar. I did mention you at the beginning, so I didn't totally forget you. All right, moving on to agenda item 6 on the consent calendar is consideration of a modified full on-premises commercial liquor license application for Jandy Oyster Company Incorporated.
Is Aaron going to make motions today, or am I going to make them?
Should Mary Faith be making the motions today?
I think it's easier if she makes them in the room, but I do have the agenda. I'm happy to make them if you prefer that, Mr. Chair.
No, I think it's fine if you do it.
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I move approval of the consent calendar.
Okay,
I second that.
great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 7. Consideration of a professional services agreement with Northwest Medical Foundation of Tillamook DBA Adventist Health, Tillamook for adult in custody healthcare services, Lieutenant Fernando Silvera, Corrections Division, Sheriff's Office. I didn't even see you come in. Good morning.
I
was looking up-
apologize for my.
I was looking up there for you.
A
make sure the
contractor
mic-
showed up today and anyway, I'm here, made it.
Thank you.
Morning. Well, here today because as you all are aware, we've had this services for 9 years now, 10. And we're truly guess blessed with their service. They've been an amazing contract to work with, amazing company to work with, and to provide our adults in custody with medical health care. So we're here today to renew the contract and hopefully continue to do business.
Great. Commissioner Scar?
Thank you. I'm excited. I know that this is a fabulous contract. I know that Adventist Health does a great job out there, and very pleased that we're able to keep the partnership.
Great.
As am I. Adventist Health is a wonderful partner. I worked for Adventist Health when they started doing this contract, so it's gratifying for me to see as the partnership has evolved and grown, and to know how successful it is. I'm glad for everybody that it's very successful.
Thank you.
I think it's funny. You worked for them at that time and I worked for the Sheriff's Office at that
Right.
time. So
Yeah.
we both have that connection. They do a fantastic job. And we have other Adventist Health employees in the room
Right.
that will be recognized in a little bit. So I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Northwest Medical Foundation of Tillamook, doing business as Adventist Health Tillamook, for adult in custody healthcare services.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 8. This is consideration of a proposal to name an unnamed creek, Shoelace Creek, located at Cape Mears in the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 7, Township 1 South, Range 10 West, Tillamook County, Oregon. Steve Quinn, Cape Mears. Good morning.
Good morning.
See you in the audience all the time. It's nice to have you up here.
Yeah, I'm Steve Quinn from Cape Mears. Thank you so much for fitting us into your busy agenda. The Oregon Geographic Names Board, OGNB, has asked for a letter of opinion regarding our application to name a previously unnamed creek in our community. We have 2 year-round streams in Cape Mears flowing from the wildlife reserve into the lake. Coleman Creek is the source of all our drinking water, and the other creek, based on all our research, has never had a name, and we're trying to change that. In the fall of 2021, somebody crossing that creek noticed that its usually clear water was muddy from illegal logging, and that put in motion a community activism and initiative that resulted in not only shutting down the logging, but purchasing the entire property that was in question And the result is folding an additional couple hundred acres into the wildlife reserve. So that also kind of renewed community interest in the Little Creek and in trying to help it find its name. It is a distinctive space. If you go out to Cape Mears, it's a cool spot in the summer and a sheltered spot in the winter wind. And we have elk and deer crossing the road there on a regular basis. And so it's a place of note for the community. When I joined the Cape Mears Community Association in 2023, I was tasked with shepherding the formal process of making it named creek. We did community outreach and the board considered dozens of names. And in April of this year, they voted unanimously to apply to the OGNB for Shoelace Creek. If you look at the maps that I think were included with the packet, it's Shoelace is the shape of it as it courses through the wetlands. And it also binds together not only the wetlands and wildlife corridor, but also the human community around us. And a part of the naming process, the OGNB has forwarded our application to you. They're reaching out to a number of local associations and tribes and looking for letters of support, opposition, or no opinion. Once our packet's complete, the OGNB will forward our application to the U.S. Board on Geographic Names, who will make the final decision. So I was asked to keep my comments brief, but if you do have questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you coming here and doing this. I appreciate the diligence of your community, the work that you put into first acquiring all that property, and also just these unincorporated areas. It's great to see when the community comes together and is able to do things like this. So I am fully supportive. So Commissioner Scar.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree, Steve. It's great to see you sitting at the table since we often have you in the room, and appreciate your interest in local government and appreciate really, as Commissioner Fournier has said, the initiative of Cape Mears to take this on, everything from your watershed purchase to the naming of the creek. So I think it's fantastic and am definitely in support. Thank you.
As am I. And I thank you for your service to your community. I was listening to you thinking about the wealth of human capital in Tillamook County among people who come here to retire often and bring their passion and their experience, their education, and their desire to be of service. You know, in every small community, we have such dynamic people doing good work that government couldn't do because we just couldn't. We're not big enough. And so to have people doing the work that you're doing is invaluable. So thank you for your service. And I think that's a fine name.
Yeah, I do too. So make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a proposal to name an unnamed creek, Shoelace Creek, located at Cape Mears in southwest 1/4 of the northeast 1/4 of Section 7, Township 1 South, Range 10 West, in Tillamook County, Oregon.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on to agenda item 9, consideration of modification. Number 1, to memorandum of agreement with Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers for a budget amendment to the jail-based medication for opioid use disorder grant for housing and transition supplies support. Bridget Kahn, our Tillamook project coordinator and deflection coordinator at Venice. So
Debbie's trying to get our attention.
Rachel has a hand up. I think there's an issue with the last.
oh, okay. Go ahead, Rachel.
Good morning. Sorry, I just wanted to point out that the letter that you just approved was a statement of no opinion. And you all had voted to express your support, which is completely fine, and we can revise the letter accordingly.
Okay, great.
But
Thank
what
you.
you did, what was posted with the agenda was no opinion.
Oh, okay, great.
I'm expressing support.
As well. So we have to review that. So.
Yes, yep,
Okay.
no problem. Just wanted to point that out.
Hey, great. Thanks. Hi, Bridget.
Hi.
Yeah, so so I'm Bridget Kahn. I'm the Our Tillamook Project Coordinator and Deflection Coordinator for Tillamook County. I work at Adventist Health. This consideration is for an MOU agreement budget adjustment update for Helping Hands. We had conversations with Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, Adventist Health, and Helping Hands to identify who would be the best community partner to purchase and distribute the transition support supplies. So this can, these supplies essentially will be for individuals leaving the jail with opioid use disorder and just supportive supplies for them in their transition. So it could be clothing, it could be shoes, it could be transportation passes, helping them get to their appointments, hygiene supplies, etc. And we identified Helping Hands to be the correct partner for that. Because so I'll stop here. I know Josh Bloomquist, the Chief Operating Officer, is online as well to let him add anything else that he would like to add.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Bridget, and thank you, commissioners, for having us on and consideration for us to handle this task. We, essential needs for individuals exiting custody is paramount, and we believe to be the right stewards for that, and we greatly appreciate the consideration.
Can I just ask what are we talking about here with, what are they given?
Oh, so far we just made a list of various, I went over and talked to Brianne Prince, the facility director over there, and the case manager and some of their team, just to kind of build a list of different things that people come in needing regularly. A lot of them are, the basic necessities, just having clothing, underwear, socks, shoes when they're released. And hygiene supplies would be really big, but also some more supportive things as well later on once they're getting started engaging in services. Transportation passes are huge. We have a shuttle twice a day. And I'm saying we, but it's the countywide work that we're doing. CARE has a shuttle twice a day, but it would be really great for people to be able to have bus passes to go to their appointments and run errands and do things. So we made a list of various supplies that are kind of like the basic necessities to support somebody early on in their recovery and in their transition.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Scar.
I think this is fantastic. We know that for people that are coming out of custody and really trying to get their feet under them and do the right things, Helping Hands has proven to be an exceptional location for that work. Their case management and their wraparound support is fantastic. And I think having the ability to give people what they need to get started it's just so big in giving people the right chance. So I appreciate Helping Hands. I appreciate our consideration of this contract.
Great. Commissioner Bell?
As do I. It seems like a great partnership and important work, and I'm grateful.
I'm also supportive of this, so I'm ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of modification number 1 to a memorandum of agreement with Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers for a budget amendment to the jail-based medications for opioid use disorder grant for housing and transition supplies support.
I will second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 10. Consideration of a grant agreement number 2026-P1 transient lodging tax for destination management with the Tillamook County Pioneer Museum. Peyton Tracy, Executive Director, Tillamook County Pioneer Museum. Is she online? No? Okay.
In the absence of that, I can carry it for Pioneer Museum if you want,
That'd be
or
great.
Isabel's going to carry it, whichever
Oh,
way
yeah, I
you'd
was
like
gonna
to go.
say, one of us can carry. I'm happy to, or you can, or,
Go
Okay,
for it,
Isabel.
Isabel.
Go
okay.
for it as well.
I wasn't able to confirm with her. I reached out again this morning, so maybe they're just available for a radar. So this is an annual transient lodging tax fund allocation for the Tillamook County Pioneer Museum for fiscal year 26-27. And they submitted their scope of work for the agreement, and the museum plans to use it's a $250,000 in transient lodging tax funds. You're going to use the funds similar to the last couple of years, and the funds are going to be used to support their day-to-day organizational expenses, staff salaries, building utilities, and insurance costs. And they'll also provide some baseline support for programmatic endeavors. And the largest portion of the funding was for staff salaries. And then I can go through the rest, that's 90% of it. Then I think 8% we're going to be used towards overhead and utilities. And then 6,003% is going to be for programmatic supplies that will directly support the museum's missions. And part of that is the exhibits and outreach efforts for school groups. And all of that adds up to the 250,000 allocation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Isabel. Commissioner Scar?
Thank you. So I sit on the board of the Pioneer Museum and am a strong advocate for this contract. I remind us all the time because I think it's important on the record that we continue to acknowledge that the Pioneer Museum had an operating levy prior to Measure 5 and Measure 50 coming in, where property taxes were capped and combined. So all the levies at that time got rolled in together. And so the Pioneer Museum at that time lost its direct funding source. And we at the county have made a decision in the past few years to fund them through transient lodging tax in recognition of the fact that they did have county funding. We're excited that TLT exists to allow us to continue to fund the operations of this important local museum. So I am in support of this grant and will continue to be ongoingly, as I feel that it is a responsibility of the county based on the tax history that has put us where we are. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I agree with Commissioner Scar. It is our responsibility, and also I think it's our privilege. It's a wonderful facility for the community. It's and clearly meets the criteria of a visitor facility. It's just it holds our history, obviously, and it's a great resource for everybody, for kids, for visitors, for locals. It's just a great resource. They had, speaking of outreach, they had free admission a couple weeks ago. They had a free admission day, and I went in with some friends. The museum was full. They have a unique exhibit about Lincoln right now. That's a whole bunch of artifacts that were owned by former Senator Mark Hatfield. And Mark Hatfield donated all these Lincoln artifacts to the museum, and so they created this fabulous exhibit. So if people haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's really, it's a treasure for the community, and I think it's a wonderful way to be able to support it.
I agree with both my colleagues, and I really enjoy, and to your point of it being a visitor center in the spring, you can see just loads of kids coming from the valley coming down. They actually go there, which is fantastic. And they hold great events, so I am fully supportive as well.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of grant agreement number 2026-P1 transient lodging tax for destination management with the Tillamook County Pioneer Museum.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Isabel.
Can I tell you
Thank you.
something fun before you read 11?
Yes.
So the Tillamook County Pioneer Society is not the same thing as the Tillamook County Pioneer Museum. And formerly, in order to be a Tillamook County Pioneer, you had to have been born here. But some years ago, they changed that, and you can join the Tillamook County Pioneer Society when you've lived here for 20 years. So this year at the fair, I got to join the Tillamook County Pioneer Society, and I am just delighted. I'm an honorary. I wasn't born here, but
Well,
I've been here for over 20 years now.
I did that a few years at the fair,
Nice.
so I am also a member
Yeah.
of the Tillamook Pioneer
Yeah,
Association.
I think it's great.
So it's great. Okay, so I say how old you are. Okay, moving on to agenda number 11, consideration of modification number 2 to a professional services agreement with Akana for the Bar View Jetty Campground Improvements Project. Brandy Pearson, Office Manager, Parks Department, with David Mathias. Hi, good morning.
Hello, thank you for having us today. I have some things to read. Akana's additional services significantly advanced phase 1 of the Barbie Jetty Campground project by resolving several critical agency-driven questions and technical uncertainties that were essential for permitting, compliance, and phase 2 readiness. These efforts included clarifying FEMA's special flood hazard areas requirements and confirming floodplain compliance boundaries based on agency feedback, verifying mapped FEMA zones and survey-derived elevations with the county senior planner, reviewing the dune hazard and geological hazard reports, and coordinating revisions to ensure Proposed development remained outside FEMA zones. ODF flagged boundaries and habitat constraints and integrating updated survey, estuary, utility, and natural resource data to maintain accurate regulatory mapping. Addressing these unanticipated coordination needs was reformed at this time to eliminate potential permitting delays in a later phase. Icona completed all supplemental tasks for a fixed additional fee of $6,697.
Great.
Yeah.
Great job, Brandy. Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Scar?
No comments. I'm pleased that this is moving forward. Thank you.
As am I, and welcome to you both. Glad to have you both here this morning. Fun to be able to celebrate your employment anniversary, Dave, on the day. So
Thank you.
yeah, and well done, Brandy. I wonder if you want to talk to either of you just for a minute about what is this project? What is the improvement project?
So they're going to be improving Barbie Jetty County Campground, the front entry. We've had some issues with traffic flow as well as issues with the fee booth. We're going to be getting 2 new fee booths. And then it's going to be repaved the front entry to try to make it easier for traffic flow to go in and out of Barbie Jetty County Campground.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. I think this professional services agreement shows just how difficult it is to move earth, to do any kind of construction in a waterfront area. So I'm pleased that you got some help moving through that.
I'll also say it's not uncommon. I mean, I just have my roof done in my house and the same thing. Had a quote. And once they dig in, they find more damage and they're paying a little bit more. And that's what this is, just as an adjustment because additional work was needed.
Yes.
So, okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Mr. Chair, I move approval of modification number 2 to a professional services agreement with Icona for the Barbie Jetty Campground Improvements Project.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you, Commissioners.
And congratulations to Tillamook County Parks for winning a first prize in the Tillamook County Fair Booth Contest.
Again?
Again.
That all really goes to Gene Henderson. He has a vision and he went with it and it was amazing.
It was outstanding. It was so cool to have a 100-year-old Model T Ford in the booth. People were
He
fascinated.
says he's not doing the car next year though when I stopped.
We're waiting to see what the theme is next year.
Well, I'm excited to,
Yeah.
it is great. I'm glad you guys continue to do
Yeah,
that.
well
Thank you so much, you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to agenda item 12. Is consideration of an internship practicum agreement number 2026-0311-DOE-JR with Western Oregon University for the supervision of practicum students at the Tillamook County Health Department offices. Sandra Sasnick, I'm saying that right, I believe, Administrator, Health and Human Services Department. Hello. Did I say the last name right?
Perfect, thank you. So, yeah, we'd like your consideration for this. Apparently, historically, it's taken over a year when a student first came to try and become get an internship here. And I really endorse this coming from a public health and workforce perspective, because the more people we can expose at an early stage in their career, the more likely they are to become interested. And since we have different kinds of healthcare workforce challenges, this is one way to expose students to come and work here. And it's kind of like even training them somewhat for free. So it's a wonderful opportunity for both the student to learn about rural healthcare and working in FQHC and public health. And it's also a wonderful opportunity for us to expose people about careers potentially coming back and working in Tillamook.
Fantastic. Commissioner Scar?
No, I agree. I think it's super when we can bring students in, and we have seen in other instances when we bring in folks that get to spend a little time working, that they stay with us. We've seen it with our AmeriCorps Vista students and others. So super excited to have students come in this practicum.
As am I. I think it's a good opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, I did internships when I was in college and they were super helpful for me too. So I see the value in this and I'm fully supportive.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move approval of an internship practicum agreement number 2026-0311-DOE-JR with Western Oregon University for the supervision of practicum students at the Tillamook County Public Health Offices.
And I will second.
And I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And Sandra has another one for us today. This is agenda item 13, consideration of a personnel requisition for a new regular full-time dental director at the Health and Human Services Department's dental clinic. Tell us about
Yes,
this.
so we need a dental director for part of our requirements to run an FQHC. We need a dental director. And our local dentists are doing an awesome job, but there's not a capacity right now for them to do the dental directions. So it would be nice if we can get somebody here, just like we've tried to recruit a medical director who's really amazing. Hopefully she's going to take that, but we do need a dental director to oversee dental services for the community, and particularly those who are having challenges accessing affordable or sliding or through food care.
Great. Commissioner Scar.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a really important position for Tillamook, for our clinics. The dental clinic, we are the provider for the Oregon Health Plan here in Tillamook County for dental, which is a very big job. And we have had a contract where we started out with our dental director and some of our dental staff under contract, and we're kind of now trying to transition that into those folks being our own staff. So it's exciting to post this dental director position and move that forward with having our own dental director as an employee and to support this exceptional program. Super important in our community. So I am in support.
Great. I couldn't say it better myself. Ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a personnel requisition for a new regular full-time dental director at the Health and Human Services Department's dental clinic.
I second.
Yeah, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Oh, yes. go ahead.
Or comment, if that's okay. I don't know if you know this, and that maybe some of the other people who are participating might want to hear this too, but for every dollar that's spent on healthcare within a local community like this, it recycles throughout the local economy 5 to 7 times over. So having somebody here as another provider within the county is going to be actually an economic benefit to the county as well.
Great. Well, thank you for that perspective. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 14. Consideration of modification number 1 to professional services agreement number 6804 with Shannon Wilson for geotechnical services for the Nehalem Quarry Exploration Drilling Project. Chris Laity, Director of Public Works. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. The road department owns and operates a quarry near Nehalem. This is where we crush our rock in order to gravel the roads. The last time we had done this was approximately in 2018. To do that, in order to put a contract out, the contractors need to know what they are looking at doing. We had contracted with Shannon Wilson, Geotechnical Engineers, to drill some holes to find out what's out there, how much material is on top of the rock, what is the type of rock that we would be crushing needed for that. So we asked for an amendment to the contract, now that we know what's out there, to do an estimate in order to bid it on how much material we can crush for our gravel roads. This report will be attached to a upcoming call for bids. So recommend a request for and bringing the total contract value to $106,650.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Scar.
No questions. Thank you.
My only question is, how many miles of gravel road does Tillamook County have?
We have about 80 miles. I don't have that number off the top of my head, but it's about 80 miles.
Thank you. Well, that's a lot of gravel that we need. And I assume that it's a cost savings to be able to crush it locally, to make our own, as it were.
Quite a bit of a cost savings, correct.
Great, thanks. I'm also in support.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of modification number 1 to professional services agreement number 6804 with Shannon and Wilson for geotechnical services for the Nehalem Quarry Exploration Drilling Project.
I second.
Yeah, a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, and we have Chris for one more. Agenda item 15 is consideration of modification number 1 to professional services agreement number 6656 with Excel Tech Consulting Incorporated for engineering services for the Burton Creek Culvert Replacement Project. Chris?
So Burton Creek is located on Trask River Road, just west of the peninsula. This is a large culvert, and we asked for a design up to 30% in order to identify what do we need in the future. There is no money for construction. We like to go with a preliminary design because that allows us to go after grant money. And maybe we can find some money out there. It is not really, it doesn't really fit the Salmon Superhighway program, but I like to have a backup plan in case we lose that culvert. So yeah, I can attempt to come up with creative solutions should we lose that in one of our future storm events. So this request is only for a contract extension, not additional money. And the contract extension, I'd ask for a little bit more information into their report that would help prime the pump for a future grant, not something that would normally be found in there. So I asked for additional documentation or narrative to go into the documentation. So this is really just extending the contract date as opposed to asking for more money. And this takes us out to September 30, 2026.
Thank you, Chris. I have a question for you. When the last storms, I was up there with you and we identified several culverts on Trask River Road that are beginning to look like they're getting close to their end of lifespan. How many culverts do we have on that road? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm going to guess we have about 30. No, we probably have about 50 to 100 culverts up there.
And when were they put in more than 25 years ago?
A lot of them were installed back in the 60s, and we know some were installed in the 80s. And occasionally we've had, in my time being here 9 years, we've actually lost part of the road up there. And during a storm weekend event, we ended up replacing the road, and that was caused by a failure of a culvert, and then we lost about a quarter of the road that went down.
I appreciate being proactive on this and keeping the engineers on board. So, Commissioner Scar?
I'm in support. I agree. This is, as you've pointed out through that question, Commissioner Fournier, culverts are probably our largest asset and nemesis, right? In that way, they're constantly under failure just because of age. So appreciate again the proactive nature.
As do I. I wasn't in this job for, I don't know, very long before it occurred to me that part of the work of the road crew is not just moving traffic, it's moving water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah. So we have to do it. Okay. All right, Mr. Chair, I move approval of modification number 1 to professional services agreement, number 6656 with Excel Tech Consulting, Inc. for engineering services for the Burton Creek Culvert Replacement Project.
I second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Chris. All right, moving right along. Doing good on time. Agenda item 16, consideration of a contract for goods with Zones LLC for Health Department laptops and equipment. Brandy Norbaum, Information Services Manager. Good morning.
Good morning. I think I was a little slower getting up here.
That's okay.
All right. Yeah. This is contract to purchase 39 laptops, 37 docking stations for the health department. They intend to use RHTP grant funds to purchase this. RHTP is the Rural Health Transformation Program. This purchase will allow us to refresh 39 different workstations for them that are in need of replacement. Just as an aside, we are really excited for them to get to use these funds to enable technology for them. So if you have any questions about the purchase here, let me know. But yeah, thank you for your consideration.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Commissioner Scar?
No questions. They have been in need of some refresh of many of their computers, and as we've gone through the last year with their changing some of their funding base and so forth, they had held off until they were sure that they had the resources available. So I'm excited that this grant makes updating their technology possible.
Great.
As am I. I think it's great.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move approval of a contract for goods with the Zones LLC for Health Department laptops and equipment.
I second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Okay. Moving right along to agenda item 17, consideration of change order number 2 to prevailing wage rate contract for construction and Convergent Technologies LLC for the courthouse interior door and card reader installation project. Kevin Jolly, facility supervisor. Good morning, Kevin. Did he step away? It's right down there. I could throw something if the door was open. Okay, we'll come back to Kevin when he is back. He's probably done the whistling and humming. Which is what he does all
I
day
love
long.
that he whistles. I love that.
He
It
was
always makes me
humming
happy.
yesterday so loud, and I said, "You need to stop." He goes, "You're going to take away my happiness." So we will come back to Kevin. He's probably whistling while he works. Okay, agenda item 18. Consideration of professional service agreement with Tiberius Solutions LLC for the county financial plan project. Deborah Jacob, Director of Financial Services, and our elected treasurer. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, so this is an agreement with Tiberius Solutions LLC for the Tillamook County Financial Plan. The contract for services is $76,080. It covers the general fund and will incorporate our strategic plan, our financial assessment, our financial opportunities work that we've done over the last couple of years, with the goal being to produce a clear and actionable 10-year financial strategy map for the county, specifically general fund.
Okay. Commissioner Scar.
I am so excited about this. So y'all know that I've been the numbers wonk for a number of years, and this process of getting us through and into a place where we can make a plan to get out of a structural budget deficit and really use all of the best thinking out there. Our work with Tiberius has led us forward. Commissioner Olson's budget roundtables led us forward. Deborah has given us so many great tools, and feels to me like the culmination of that work, where Tiberius will help us take everything we have learned over the last 3 years, really, about our budget, about what's possible, and help us make the plan that says step 1, 2, 3, 4 will get us to where we need to be. And we know it will always be fluid. There will be more things changing every year, but this lays the groundwork to show us how we get to where we need to be. So I am super, super excited. Thank you, Deborah, for all you have done to help us get there. This is amazing, amazing work.
Couldn't agree more, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. I agree also. I think this is real progress, and we did start several years ago, so it's exciting to be at this point. So I'm fully supportive.
Great. Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of a professional services agreement with Tiberius Solutions LLC for the county financial plan project.
I am second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Call for the vote. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Thank you.
I was just stalling for Deborah because she kept on trying to leave. Kevin, come on down. We'll go back to agenda item 17.
For some reason, I couldn't get on it, my computer, so.
Did you hear me harassing you at least?
A little, yeah.
Agenda item 17, consideration of a change order number 2 to prevailing wage rate contract for construction with Convergent Technology LLC for the courthouse interior door and card reader installation.
Okay, well, what you have in front of you is just like what you said, a change order to the original contract to reflect some unforeseen installation issues for the key card reader project. We discovered a 14-inch post where we were going to put the key card reader. So we had a kind of a just fire, and it resulting in a increase of the overall project price by $6,275 to bring the total to $66,350.
The joys of working on a nearly 100.
It's a challenge sometimes, but unforeseen things sometimes happen.
Absolutely. Commissioner Scar.
No, I agree. 1932 courthouse, we don't have as-built that show us where every pillar is, so it's challenging to do the work. And I am in full support of getting card readers and security throughout the building, and this is simply a piece of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
As am I.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair, move approval of change order number 2 to prevailing wage rate contract for construction with Convergent Technologies LLC for the courthouse interior door and card reader installation project.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Agenda item 19, consideration of an order in the matter of filing a property lien to reimburse the county for legal fees and costs. Brian Leibel, County Counsel, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. So in May of this year, Tillamook County Circuit Court awarded attorney's fees and costs associated with Commissioner Fournier receiving a protective order against a member of the public. The county paid for these legal services because the commissioner was within the course and scope of his official duties when the basis for the protective order occurred. To date, the county has not been reimbursed for these costs and fees that the court awarded to the county. The proposed board order in front of you directs the recording of the court judgment with the county clerk's office, which would create a property lien to ensure that the county gets reimbursed for these expenses. The order also directs that any money paid or received to satisfy the court judgment be deposited with the county finance department. Attached to the board order as supporting documentation is a certified copy of the court judgment awarding the attorney's fees and costs. The request for attorney's fees and costs from the attorney that represented Commissioner Fournier, which includes a signed attorney engagement agreement between the county, the attorney, and Commissioner Fournier. Also, lastly, right, there are attached 7 claim vouchers showing that the county paid for these legal services and costs for your consideration.
Thank you. Commissioner Scar.
Thank you. I think that this is appropriate. I think that this was a threat that came against all commissioners. Commissioner Fournier was the one who took the lead on making sure that safety was there for everyone in the courthouse. I appreciate that work, and I do think the county should be paying for this work, and that the individual that caused it should be reimbursing us. So I think that we're on the right track here to make sure that we get our funds back. Thank you.
I am supportive also. This is unfortunate. The whole thing was unfortunate. And the threat to the commissioners and a specific threat to Commissioner Fournier is unacceptable. And the court ruled that the person should pay for the attorney's fees, and they should. So it's too bad it happened in the first place, and it's too bad we have to follow up with this.
Agreed.
All right, Mr. Chair, I move approval of order number 26-053 in the matter of filing a property lien to reimburse the county for legal fees and costs.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Brian. Yay. And, well, she's in a loud location. 920 is consideration. Of
Oh, I'm sorry.
In order in the matter of adopting the Tillamook County Employee Compensation Policy, Rachel Haggerty, Chief Administrative Officer, who is remote and it sounds like she's in a stadium.
That would be funner. I'm just in a coffee shop, so lucky to find this workspace. So last year, the county completed a countywide job classification study and compensation and pay equity study. And following the board's approval, staff implemented many of the recommendations that were provided from those studies earlier this year. This effort fundamentally modernized the county's compensation system, and it created a new framework for classifying positions, administering employee pay across the organization. So we are now transitioning from the implementation phase to ongoing maintenance of the new compensation system, and it's essential to formally memorialize these practices with policy. Before you today is the proposed policy for your consideration and adoption. I presented the policy in detail and it was discussed among the board and staff that attended during the July 29th briefing. The policy focuses on how compensation is determined, sign-on bonuses for health providers, new and existing employees who move into that pay table, and a relocation allowance for health providers and newly hired health providers and executive services employees. And it also describes how we are going to maintain our job description to do a countywide study ever again. And so that is what is in the compensation policy before you. And I did want to note that during the July 29th briefing, we also discussed changes to the vacation policy, and those are not in this policy. Those are in the employee manual, and that will come before you at a later date.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Scar?
Thank you. I think this is great work. As Rachel has laid out, we've been working on these pieces for quite some time now. And this really, again, it's another sort of culmination of a great deal of work over the past, this one may even be 4 years. So lots of work behind this. And I'm excited to have it come before us and finalize it. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner.
I am supportive and grateful to Rachel and everyone on her team for this work. It's really important to have this done, and I think they did a great job.
I would agree with both of my colleagues. So I am ready for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of order number 26-054 in the matter of adopting the Tillamook County Employee Compensation Policy.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, this time we're going to be heading into a public hearing. So we, yes,
We can set up, maybe have a 5-minute recess.
that sounds great. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll take a 5-minute recess and let's just reconvene it. Let's actually make it 10 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, folks, welcome back to our board meeting. We are going to be going into a public hearing, and I will be reading from a script, and I'll probably mess up, and my colleagues will help me if we do. So we'll get through this together. Okay, tonight it is now 10 a.m. This is the first public hearing concerning an appeal of the Planning Commission to approve variance request number 851-255-000-533-PLNG to exceed the 25-foot height and maximum by 8 feet, 10 1/4 inches for a maximum building height of 33 feet, 10 1/4 inches as measured from the existing pre-construction grade. The subject property is located within the Breakers condominium, unit number 11, located in the unincorporated community of Nescoin. The subject property is accessed via Breakers Boulevard, a county road zone Nescoin low-density residential Nesk R-1 and designated as tax lot 92411 of section 25 CB, Township 5 South, Range 11 West of the Willamette Meridian, Tillamook County. And this will be presented by Sarah Absher and Melissa Yang in the Building Department, Community Development. And I am opening this hearing officially, calling the hearing to order, and then County Counsel Brian Leibel will tell us some of the rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. A sign-up sheet is at the back of the room for those who wish to testify and for those who wish to provide their names and addresses so the county can formally notify them of the hearing result. Staff has provided copies of the applicable criteria by the sign-in sheets at the back of the room. ORS 197.763 requires the following. Testimony and evidence must be directed toward these criteria, if applicable, or other criteria in the plan or land use regulations which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford the county and other interested persons an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals, otherwise known as LUBA, on that issue. Failure to raise constitutional or other issues related to the adopted conditions of the approval with sufficient specificity to allow Tillamook County or its designee to respond to the issue precludes action for damages in circuit court pursuant to ORS Chapter 197. Any party may request and is entitled to a continuance of this hearing. However, please note a second hearing already is scheduled for August 26, 2026, which satisfies this requirement. ORS 197.763, subparagraph 6 requires that unless there is a continuance, the record shall remain open for at least 7 days after the hearing if a participant so requested before the conclusion of the initial hearing. With the scheduling of the second public hearing, however, there will be a continuance on the matter. At the end of today's public hearing, the Board of Commissioners will decide how it would like to receive public comment beyond today. The order of presentation is as follows. Staff will summarize the staff report to the extent necessary to enable those present to understand the issues before the Board of Commissioners. Commissioners may ask questions of staff. Next will be the appellant's presentation. After that will be the applicant's presentation. Further, after that will be the public comment. If you wish to provide public comment, please raise your hand whether in the room or online. When you speak, please begin by stating your name and your address and where you reside in the county, or who you represent if you're not speaking on your own behalf. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and keep them related to the matter currently before the board. Please also direct your comments only to the Board of Commissioners and not to other county personnel or those in attendance. Lastly, it would be helpful if you'd say if you're for, neutral, or against the matter on which you will speak. And at the end of today's hearing, the board will decide how it would like to continue to receive public testimony. Rebuttals will occur at the next public hearing, which is scheduled for August 26th. And then lastly, after that will be comments from staff. The hearing then will be closed to all testimony. The board may then discuss the matter among themselves, and then the board will continue the hearing until August 26th. Now I have 3 questions, all right, for the Board of Commissioners regarding the Board of Commissioners. Is there a challenge to the jurisdiction of the Tillamook County Board of Commissioners to hear this matter? If so, please state that challenge at this time. I don't see anyone, whether online or present here in the room, that's challenging the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. Next, are there any conflicts of interest or personal biases to be declared by the commissioner? If so, please state that bias or conflict at this time.
I have none.
I don't hear of any. Have there been any ex parte contacts regarding the upcoming matter that a commissioner needs to declare? If so, please state that ex parte contact at this time. Don't hear of any.
No, she's not.
Those are the last of my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. We move on to staff. Melissa Yank, are you going to be presenting? Great.
Thank you, Commissioner Fournier. Melissa Yank, Senior Planner for the Tillamook County Community Development, for the record. Let me get my presentation on the screen. It still shows up on the screen.
It's on the screen. It takes just a minute. There's a little bit of lag.
Right, there's always a delay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Again, we're hearing the matter 851-25-000-533-PLNG-01. This is an appeal of variance request 851-25-000-533-PLNG.
This application, the appellant is Doug Parks. The applicant's team is Ready to Market LLC, and the property owner is Wells Fargo Bank for the trust of the Cale O'Donnell for Hasty Trust. Just a summary of the original request that was heard before the Planning Commission on the June 25th, 2025 meeting. The variance request that the applicant's team presented was an exception to the 25-foot building height that's allowed in an oceanfront property in Neskowin. The applicants were requesting an exception of 8 feet, 10 1/4 inches for a proposed building height of 33 feet, 10 1/4 inches. The proposed exception was due to the proposed reconstruction of a dwelling that previously was maintained within Unit 11 of the Breakers condominium property. The property itself is zoned Neskowin Low Density Residential. And again, it's unit number 11 of the Breakers condominium. So again, the process to date, why we're here before the Board of County Commissioners. The Planning Commission heard the initial variance request back on June 25th, where they made a decision. The Planning Commission did vote 4 in favor and 1 opposed to approve the request, the variance request, subject to their own conditions of approval, which were included in the staff report in the order that was attached last week. The decision by the Planning Commission was thus appealed by the appellant Doug Parks. And now we are scheduled for hearings both today and the continued hearing on August 26th before the Board of County Commissioners to hear this appeal request. Just going to give you, I did want to also offer for those in the room as well as the commissioners, there was additional testimony that was received by the department since the staff report was prepared last Wednesday. Those comments have been provided to the commissioners in the room, as well as Commissioner Scar, that was emailed over to you just before the start of the session for your review. For the public listening and in the room, those have also been posted on the community development website for your review, and then copies are provided at the back of the room for anybody who'd like to review those. Okay, so just giving you a general overview of the application that was originally heard by the Planning Commission. So as stated, this property is located within the community of Neskowin. The property itself is located off of Breakers Boulevard, which is a county road. The condominium plat itself is located at the intersection of Breakers Boulevard, Sheridan Avenue, and the previously vacated Mount Angel Avenue, which now serves as primarily as a beach access point. To the east, you can see we have the Pacific Ocean. For amenities in the area, there is the Neskowin Golf Course located to the east and the south. The community is generally improved with residential development. You see other single-family homes and accessory uses within the vicinity. We also have the Pacific Sands condominiums located to the south, similar to a condominium plat like Breakers. Here you can see the zoning of the area. Again, the Breakers condominium lot is zoned Neskowin Low Density Residential. The vicinity has also the Neskowin Rural Residential Zone, with their commercial zone located further to the south, as well as a higher density residential zone in Neskowin. Here you can actually see the 11 units that make up the Breakers condominium property. The unit that we're specifically looking at is Unit 11 of the condominium plat, which is the one in the most northeastern corner of the property. The area itself, the condominium plat, is about 1.3 acres in size, but the individual unit size itself is approximately 20 feet by 30 feet in size, which also provides about 20-foot deck area that extends beyond that platted boundary. So the confines of any future reconstruction of a dwelling would have to be located entirely within the platted Unit 11, which again is about a 20 by 30 building footprint area. The property itself is generally level. There is some terrain as it reaches the Pacific Ocean. The property itself is protected by riprap preventment. Here is a comparison of the flood maps for the community of Nescoing. As you can see on the map on the right, the property itself is entirely located within the FEMA Special Flood Hazard Area. Therefore, any construction is regulated by Tillamook County's flood hazard overlay, and any new development or substantial improvement must comply with current code provisions within our flood hazard overlay and FEMA code compliance. The map on the left-hand side details the original maps that were adopted in the community of Nescoing. And the arrow is showing specifically where Unit 11 and a majority of the Breakers condominium lot were located previously, and they were not within a regulatory floodplain at the time of their initial construction. So the original development was not required to comply with flood provisions at the time of their construction. And with the new maps that were adopted in 2018, that was when the property was considered now within the special flood hazard area. Prior to 2018, they were not considered within a regulatory floodplain. I'm going to give you the basis for the appeal. I'm going to quickly skate over this. This is a copy of the house plans that were included in your staff report, but is the proposed design by the applicant's team for the proposed home with the proposed exception being approved. This would be the proposed building height. You can see here on the right-hand side, it shows a building with a building height of 33 feet, 10.25 inches. There is a couple items highlighted on here and was referenced during the Planning Commission hearing and was codified by one of the conditions that they proposed as part of the application. In the regulatory flood zone that the applicants are proposing to rebuild in, Tillamook County has a required, what's called a freeboard, which means you must elevate higher than the base flood elevation. In this zone, one must elevate 1 foot above the base flood elevation. The applicants demonstrated a proposal that demonstrated a 2-foot freeboard, which exceeds the minimum requirement. There was a discussion between the Planning Commission and a condition of approval that was referenced in their order that should the design demonstrate compliance during future flood review, that they could reduce for compliance with the flood standards that 2-foot freeboard to 1 foot through the plan review, that they would be required to comply with that. So it would actually reduce the overall building height by 1 foot if the design complied with flood requirements. Because they have not gone through a full flood permit review process at this time, we can't confirm that these plans are perfectly appropriate for flood compliance. So we left it as a condition that a demonstration should show we'd allow and would require the reduction of the building height. General summary of the appellant's findings. They stated, and this was included in staff supplementary summary in the staff report, they stated that the Planning Commission failed to address a couple criterion that are required as part of their decision making. Specifically, they called out criterion 3, section 4.0058, where it talks about unreasonable obstruction of views or pleasing views. And then criterion number 4, which talks about if there was reasonable alternatives reviewed as part of the applicant's design. The appellant also challenges the right of the applicant to initiate a variance request. The appellant provided findings to say that the property owner did not grant the applicant's team to initiate the request itself. And then finally, they just referenced a concern about the precedence that a decision of a variance of this kind would create in the community, and that it would invite future applicants to apply for height exceptions due to flood constraints. I'm going to brush over these applicable provisions. We've primarily talked about them in the staff report, but just as a reiteration as to the standards that were discussed and why compliance was required for certain measures of the proposed development. So again, the property is zoned Nescoing low density residential. Oceanfront properties are required to maintain a maximum building height of 25 feet. The applicant is obviously proposing a building height that would exceed that 25-foot height, which is why the variance request was before the Planning Commission, and now the appeal of it is before the Board of County Commissioners. As referenced, there's flood hazard standards that are primarily prompting the requirement of the applicant to request this variance. Again, because it is a substantial improvement, which means they're putting over 50% of the real market value back in to build the house. And primarily because the entire home is gone, new construction is required to comply with current flood regulations. Again, the original home was built prior to flood regulations being adopted by Tillamook County and before there was even flood maps for the community. As such, the new development is required to be elevated on open or pile style foundation. It is a V zone, which is considered a wave action, being the source of concern in the flooding. And as such, they are required to have, untraditional, conventional foundations like enclosed space that has to be on an open pile or pier system. And it also doesn't allow for any structural numbers to be located below the base flood elevation other than those that would serve as access into the dwelling itself. And this community did adopt the Neskowin Coastal Hazards Overlay. This was adopted back in 2015 in Neskowin. Just wanted to reference that for compliance for the beach and dune hazard and the geologic hazards that are recognized in this community, the applicant did already receive the approval for compliance with those geologic components. I'm not going to read through all of these criterion, but I just wanted to provide, and I provided the commissioners with a copy of the review criteria. The applicants were required to demonstrate compliance with these criterion as part of their application. The appellant has challenged that the Planning Commission did not provide adequate findings to the criterion to support their decision to approve the variance request. Staff provided in their supplemental staff report the findings that the applicants and staff found with regards to the criterion themselves. Again, summarized the appellant's basis for their appeal, specifically criterion 3 and 4, where they would find that the applicants and the Planning Commission did not provide adequate findings during their review and determination. This is just an extension of criterion 3. I just wanted to point out sub 8. This is one of the challenges by the appellant, which is to ensure that pleasing views are neither unreasonably obstructed nor obtained. This would also correlate to the public testimony that you received that was provided here at the beginning of the session. Those are the comments that we have primarily received during the public testimony portion of the Planning Commission hearing, and those that have been provided today is concerns of view obstructions that would result due to the granting of this exception. And then this is just a copy of the conditions of approval that the Planning Commission adopted as part of their decision making. I primarily wanted to point you to condition number 10. This was the condition that was relevant to a reduction of the overall building height should the applicant demonstrate that the 2-foot freeboard was not necessary to demonstrate flood compliance at the time of construction, and would require the applicant to reduce the overall building height if flood risk reductions would allow so. Any questions?
I love it. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Excellent job, Melissa. So just to recap a couple of things before the commissioners may have any questions. I just want to go back and walk through a couple of things that Melissa shared that are the high points and probably the most important pieces of that center around this application. The first one is that this is a lawfully established structure that was destroyed by fire. The maps in 1978 that she showed, even though that area where the condos are at, specifically condo unit 11, which is in the northeast corner, right? So it's the farthest condo away from the ocean. The reason for the map change between 1978, where there was no regulatory flood zone, and 2018, where you can see all of that blue shaded area is regulated, which means the most significant change is that structures must be elevated. And those flood zones, those velocity zones, actually what those white lines represent is how high structures have to be elevated to meet that base flood elevation in each of those white corridors. Okay. And so the reason why we've gone to structures that were built did not have to elevate, meaning they weren't in those map flood areas, to now roll forward when we did a map update in 2018, FEMA required us to do that. They required us to adopt updated maps. And the reason why these properties and all of the oceanfront properties are now in these flood areas and require elevation is because Nescoin lost its ford dune system. Right. So there used to be a healthy ford dune in front of the community before the ocean. And that's why some of these areas, like she's showing on the 1978 map, didn't have to elevate, was because the ford dune was there to protect them from ocean flooding. As the community has experienced episodic erosion significantly since then, now all of these areas along this ocean front of the community is all within these mapped areas of special flood hazard. And so so just to go over a couple of the findings with the Planning Commission at the June 25th hearing was that the Planning Commission examined alternatives to the request, to the variance request. Criterion number 4 requires a discussion about what is a reasonable alternative. And reasonable is a very subjective, right? And so, as Melissa mentioned, the unit itself is platted in a very small footprint, which means that the structure itself cannot extend beyond that platted footprint of that specific unit. The Planning Commission looked at evidence that talked about relocating where the unit would go, adjusting, replatting that unit so that the boundaries of the unit expanded so that the building footprint could expand. Because you're going from a structure that was a total of 1,200 square feet, so roughly 600 square feet on a 2-level, meeting that height maximum, that now because it has to be elevated because of the FEMA map changes, you know, there's no way to maintain that 1,200 square feet without going up or going out. And the lateral expansion would necessitate either expanding the boundary of that footprint of that unit or relocating it. And there was a lot of conversation with that with the Planning Commission, and I anticipate you're going to hear more about that this morning from the applicant and the appellant. But what the Planning Commission found was that it was not a reasonable alternative to expand or relocate simply because of the location of existing utilities that exist and the utility layout of the parent lot for the condo units themselves. With that, there were findings about in relation to criterion number 1, which talks about when a person is asking for a variance, which means they're asking for relief from a requirement. Is it appropriate to consider, meaning do other property owners in the vicinity enjoy the same right? So when we're looking at not just replacing the condominium unit, but we're looking at replacing it and restoring it to where they also get that 1,200 square feet, considering the building footprint is roughly 600 square feet on each level. Part of the findings in the record by the commission were that a 600 square foot unit, meaning they still elevate, but they only get 1 story, would not achieve that criterion of the applicants being able to enjoy a property right that existed for others in the area, meaning the other condominium units. And so just wanted to point a couple of those things out. The third and final detail that I think from the Planning Commission proceedings that's important to recap is that there was a lot of concern and testimony about this variance approval setting a precedent for other oceanfront properties in the Nescoin community. Because again, we've gone from a 1978 adopted map that largely, there are many oceanfront structures in the community that were not required to elevate when they were built because the ford dune system was there and a lot of these properties were not map flood. Fast forward, now we've got an entire developed oceanfront community that is mostly map flood. So whether it's substantial improvements, meaning they get to a point to where they are remodeling or maintaining the structure in a way where they hit a cost that exceeds 50% of the real market value, and that FEMA says you have to elevate, even if you're not expanding or rebuilding, but you've hit that value threshold, so now you have to go up anyway. Or if someone wanted to tear down and rebuild, or if there was another incident of some sort of an act of God. One of the biggest concerns is, does approval of this variance immediately set a precedent that other oceanfront properties in the community would essentially now become entitled to receiving variance approval as well if they want to go up? And there was a lot of discussion with Melissa and the Planning Commission talking about what that meant. And one of the differences in what the Planning Commission found with this specific variance request that made it unique was the fact that it was a unit and a building footprint platted, where the footprint platted was essentially the building itself. Whereas if you look at other lots in the community that are oceanfront, they have setbacks. They have more room than the building envelope. So could it be that other properties that are oceanfront have the ability for a lateral expansion or some sort of alternative that would require either not a variance or a lesser variance? And so the Planning Commission largely found, not through majority vote, but, or excuse me, not by unanimous vote, but by majority vote, that approval of this variance would not create a precedent because of just the unique circumstances of this being a very small building on a lot that is essentially the condo unit itself. So I don't know if you have anything. I just thought maybe those would be some good things to add to the discussion from the hearing.
I would just add that the applicant's team that was included in the supplemental staff report, they did provide their responses to the appellant's basis for their appeal. And they also included testimony from the HOA president who details that alternative discussion as well. And that was included in part both to the discussion that was had with the Planning Commission, but just also to reiterate that while the discussion was had at the hearing with the Planning Commission, the HOA president also initiated that this alternatives discussion included both the utilities infrastructure, but as well as the impacts to other owners of the condominium plat if a change or adjustment was made to the location of the unit. It wouldn't just be the owners of Unit 11 impacted because they are all joint owners of the condominium plat. All other owners would also be impacted with any change of location, any costs associated with those changes. They would all have to participate in. And similarly, staff would indicate to, and this was discussed in the supplemental staff report, relocation of the unit on available lands within the property did not substantiate a location that was outside of the floodplain. As you can see by the map on the left-hand side, there is no location on the Breakers condominium lot that is outside of the floodplain. So the change of its location was still going to result in a flood compliance standard against the home.
We can ask you questions, not part of this.
Yes.
So my question, my first question, I have a couple, and then I'll hand it over to my fellow commissioners. But my first question is, this is I'm having a block here. FEMA is requiring to raise it by how many feet?
I'll get you the exact. Well, I don't have the plans for the existing home. They're gone. The other home is completely removed from the property. But I would say from above grade, we're looking at approximately 10 to 11 feet above finished grade. The house would have to be elevated.
Because I think you could think 1 foot below.
Yep. Yeah, so right here, you can see the highlighted where it says base flood elevation on the left-hand side. That is FEMA's regulatory height. They say nothing can be below that height. Tillamook County, when we adopted these flood compliance standards, said we are going to regulate to 1 foot above the base flood elevation. And so the applicant actually demonstrated a 2-foot elevation over that minimum level. So that's where we were discussing that they would only need 1 foot and therefore could potentially reduce the overall height of the structure if what compliance standards were demonstrated. But at the end of the day, we're looking at approximately a 10 to 11 foot elevation above finished grade that the unit would even be allowed to begin living space of the home.
So with these plans, the house itself, is it the same dimensions as what the existing house was?
Yes, they're continuing to use the entirety of the 20 by 30 footprint.
Also, I'm talking height.
Yes, they previously had a 2-story home, 600 square feet of living space on each floor. And that is what they're proposing and included in their analyses, and the Planning Commission included in their discussion, as well as, like Director Abisher said, the 1,200 square feet of living space, would be them just coming down to 1 foot or 1 floor of 600 square feet be considered a reasonable similar use that other properties have in the vicinity. And all of the other units in the Breakers condominium also enjoy those 2-story, 600 square foot.
I guess my thing is you can make a roof like this, you can make a roof like this. And so what I guess what I'm asking is the height of the structure that they're proposing is the same size, regardless of the lift, I guess. Forget the pilot piers. Is the building the same height as the building that was there?
I don't have those exact dimensions, but I do know that there was discussions by the applicant team to actually reduce the pitch of the roof. And I think the applicants can talk about this more.
It's great. You'll be able to speak when you have your presentation. If you want to address it, that'd be great.
Where they did, I believe, make some additional changes to the roof modeling on the proposed home to help reduce some of the overall height. It wasn't the exact same plan that was there previously, just on piers. There was some changes to the overall pitch.
Okay. Aaron, go. Sure. Aaron, do you have anything you'd like to ask at this time?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I think you answered all my questions in your presentation, so I'm good for now. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll stay up here to do the appellants.
Okay.
You guys all done?
Yep.
Okay. So the next portion of the of this hearing will be the appellant presentation, which will be 15 minutes. As soon as the staff clears, if Doug Parks would like to come up.
I am going to stay here. The appellant did ask for a presentation and I offered to help us
Fantastic.
with some of that.
Sounds great. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
If
My
you can
name-
state the name, yeah, thank you.
My name is Doug Parks. My family trust owns the residence at 4315 Mount Angel, immediately to the east of the Breakers Condominium Association. Our house is blocked by the one immediately in front of ours on the corner of Breakers. But we still do have sky views and an angle to the right of the Breakers to get a glimpse of the ocean. Our family bought our home, actually the one on the corner, in 1965. We've continually owned that house and the one behind it since then. My father was involved in the opposition to building the Breakers to begin with. And, to sum it up, it was kind of a Wild West situation where you build it first and ask for permission later. I don't think the county would approve of the angle which the Breakers units are canted, which in effect provides a wall with no ocean view access between the units unless you're at a particular angle. So I think that it might be prudent for the Breakers at the very least to consider what happens if all units were leveled in some kind of catastrophe and they had to start over. I'd like to think that the Breakers would say we have to come up with a different plan that still allows us to enjoy, say, a 1,200 square foot home within the height requirement limitation. But having said that, I don't want to dwell so much on criterion 3 and 4, which have been discussed. I do maintain that the applicant has no standing to make the variance request. It's quite clear that the owner is Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has not given authorization for the applicants to go through the variance process. As far as the, and I just heard the comments on the precedent setting aspect of this, and I do agree with staff comments that there would certainly be some leeway amongst many of the homes north and south in the Nesquin neighborhood that are now subject to these new flood zone regulations. But having said that, at the very least, this precedent will open it up to all other 10 breakers unit owners who, if their places are lost, will certainly gain the benefit of this variance if approved. That's really all I have. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I just have one question. You mentioned Wells Fargo. Can you elaborate on that? Are you saying that that's who the loan is to?
No, the property owner is Wells Fargo on behalf of a trust.
Okay, so the trust owns it or the bank owns it?
The trust owns it. And Wells Fargo is the trustee.
Commissioner Scarr, do you have any questions for Mr. Parks?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Or do I?
Thank you very much. Okay.
Mr. Chair. You raised an issue or a question about the pitch of the roof.
Yes.
And I think Mr. Parks raised his hand. Did that get addressed?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Parks, did you want to address the roof pitch question?
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
My understanding from attending the June hearing that they had reduced the pitch to minimize, to basically maintain the same look, but with a lower pitch, thus enabling a slight reduction in the height, but it would have been had the exact same roof structure.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Okay. I'll move on to the applicant presentation. If you could state your name, I do not have your name here, so if you could state your name. You represent.
Got a brand new knee, so I'm limping up here.
Okay, well, take it easy. Does it bend?
It is bending, so that's good.
Okay, good.
Okay, my name is Glenn Garrett. My wife and I own one of the breakers units in this development. We spend a couple of weeks every month there. Our primary residence is in Portland, so those are the two residences we have. I'm currently, there's only 11 owners in our HOA. I'm currently the president of the HOA and have been since actually before the fire and 4 years ago. It's a volunteer position. We kind of rotate because there's only 11 of us. It being that small HOA that we are. So we are, that's one of the reasons I'm here. I mean, this whole thing's been unique. It's been a learning experience for all of us. Again, these places were originally built in 1972, all 11 of them. The history behind that is that the HOA stayed involved to maintain, to set up the type of parameters to where we can maintain the buildings and in the environment that is, that you need to maintain the siding, the roofing and all that. So we have a very active HOA as far as making sure that the facilities and the buildings themselves are fine. So really, NOAA is a contractor for Ready to Market that's been mentioned. He was representing us in the first hearing. He would have been here today, but he's got personal situations not allowing him to be here in person, but he is on here virtually. So he might be able to answer some questions if you have that directed to him. Maureen is the owner. Just a correction, Wells Fargo Bank is not the owner of this Unit 11. It's a trust. It's the trustees are Maureen and her and the bank are the trustees that manage that property. But Maureen has a one of the things that we submitted for this particular session was a letter from Maureen stating her family history. Her family actually stayed in Unit 11 in the early 70s. They ended up buying it in 2002. So she has a lot of family history with both Nescoman and the Breakers. So, and she's also on this call virtually. She has been very involved over the years. From my recollection, also been on the board at different times. Again, it's a small HOA, so it kind of involves everybody at some point. So really, for the purpose that I'm here, I can certainly answer questions on the behalf of the HOA. I know the 4 bullet points that were raised in the appeal, and that's really what I was prepared to address. There was so much that happened in the last meeting. I thought the committee did a nice job of recapping all that happened in the initial the hearing and the initial appeal ruling, or the ruling from the last time. So really, I kind of narrowed it down to 4. And I've read all of the information coming in from other residents of Nescoman about their concerns for this, and a lot of it's about blocking pleasing views. And I thought it would be valuable for this group to see what those views might actually look like. I was able to go onto Google Earth and pull up the residence. You can put in any residence, any address you want into Google Earth. And I put in 48025, which is actually the home, which is directly across Breakers Boulevard from Unit 11. And by doing that, Google Earth gives you dates. So you can kind of like take the street view and you can look from the street view from front of that residence towards the ocean or towards Unit 11. And with the 2 dates that it offered, 2023, which is after the fire and what it currently looks like now, but 2013 is the other one.
If I may, Mr. Chair, or just a point of order, is after the appellant presentation, is it supposed to be the applicant that's supposed to be testifying?
Yes.
Are you the applicant?
On behalf of Maureen, NOAA, and the HOA, yes.
He's the applicant. Okay.
I'm representing the applicant.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that.
Nope, that's all right. Just want to make sure.
All, I guess.
It's legal.
Okay.
He's important. So thank you. Thank you, Brian.
So anyway, I pulled up 3 photos on Google Earth that represented what the view looked like before the fire back in 2013, which is the date that it gave us in Google Earth, and then what it looks like now, which was 2023, which hasn't changed. I think I had them put that up on the PowerPoint. Is that okay? Anyway, reading, the different comments about, what this view looks like walking down Breakers Boulevard, which is a very common thing to do if you're in that community. So this first view you see here from Google Earth is 2023, 2 years ago. You can see the orange construction tape there just over that shrub there. That basically is wrapped around what at that point in time was the foundation that was left after the fire and after the demo. What you see on the other side is Unit 10 that's still there. And on the other side of Unit 10, you get a glimpse of Unit 9. So if you're standing at that view, there's actually 3 units right in a row between you and the ocean. Obviously, Unit 11 is not there in that photo because of the orange that you see through the orange deal. Now, the next photo is what it looked like in 2013 from pretty much exactly the same spot. And there's some things in there that give you a clue to that. The red fire hydrant, and there's a white utility pole that kind of gives you the same perspective of where that shot was taken from. So that's Unit 11 before the fire. You get a little bit of a glimpse of Unit 9 on the far right, because again, they're stacked right there. Unit 11, Unit 10, and Unit 9 are all right in a row from that particular viewpoint. But what you also get from that view is obviously nothing, you're not going to see any ocean or anything like that looking straight ahead. But what you can see is to the right there, you do have nothing that's blocked from your visual standpoint. The next picture is basically a little bit more to the right. So if you're really on that corner of Breakers Boulevard, you've got that whole area to the right. You can actually see some blue ocean from that perspective. If Unit 11 gets reconstructed in the same plat footprint that it currently sits in, nothing from that view changes. There's no blockage of any view there. The only difference would be between before and what is being proposed is Unit 11 would be taller. So you would see a little bit less sky, but other than that, nothing on the right and nothing from that viewpoint would be blocked. Now, the other interesting thing about, if we go back to the second one, if we can, from that one right there, there's a little grassy area that's common area next to that. That's kind of what was mentioned earlier as far as one of the potential alternatives to going sideways so you don't have to go as high. If that were an option, and I can explain why that's not an option, but if that were an option, the only way you could do would be to bring the whole thing towards that fence, be closer to the Breakers Boulevard. You'd have to probably come as close as you could or legally could with the easement and the property line there. But that would make the structure, in theory, if you did that, you'd be at the same height you are now or in that picture. But it would be so much closer to Breakers Boulevard it would cut out actually some of the view you have to the right, because that's an angled view there, and that's the only way you can come straight back that way if you kept the same angle. So that's one of the things I wanted to point out. The other interesting thing, and again, I just picked this up because of the number of comments about blocking the visual view that was there. This gives you firsthand what it is. But if you're walking up and down Breakers Boulevard, like a lot of people in Escalon do, or driving down Breakers Boulevard, just due south of us, which is right next to the Breakers property, is another building that is on the same parallel strip of land. And this was actually brought up in the last one as well, in the last meeting, that is actually a home that's the same height as what we're proposing. It's 34 feet, I believe. And it's right next to Breakers Boulevard. And it does not have to be, it doesn't fall under the variance request or the height restrictions of Ocean View, because it's not considered Ocean View. It has another building on the other, between it and the ocean, no different than what Unit 11 has here. But it's a lot, and the owner owns that lot, and they're in the same floodplain as Unit 11, in the same distance from the ocean as Unit 11. But they have a different owner and a different lot between them and the ocean. So therefore, they're not considered oceanfront. So therefore, their height restriction is 35 feet. And they are at close to 35 feet. So if you're walking down Breakers Boulevard, you're passing right by that house, which is next to the Breakers development. And then you're walking a little bit further down and you walk by Unit 11. So for the cases of being made that if we were to move forward with this with a higher height variance, which would be the same as what the one that I just mentioned would be, it's not outstanding. It's not separating itself from the rest of the community and just being one skyscraper along Breakers Boulevard. So I just wanted to make sure that perception was given. The other 3 bullet points, and I'll just address one of them real quickly because it was brought up just a while ago, is there are letters that were sent in. There's a letter from Maureen, the owner. There's also a letter from Wells Fargo Bank showing that they actually hired Ready to Market not long after the fire to rebuild their unit, as well as represent them in all the permits and variants, anything that needed to come along to get that reconstruction started. And that started as early as the demo permit, when we had to have a special permit for the demo from what was left from the fire. So Ready to Market has been the designated go-to person. That's kind of been the HOA volunteers didn't want to be the people on the front line, and Maureen was not able to do it. So it was something Ready to Market was hired for, and Noah and his team have been very good about developing relationships here as a county and going through multiple permit processes and having all the geological studies done, and all that was handled by him, which is why he's listed as the applicant on this. I just wanted to give clarity to that. And again, there's letters from both Wells Fargo Bank and Maureen stating that in there to address that particular concern. The other main piece that really, and I don't want to take up much more time here, y'all been kind enough to listen to this up to this point, but the HOA drafted a letter. We currently have a board of 3, and the 3 board members with input from other owners. That letter's part of this. If you want to look at it individually, you can, or you can have me read it. I can do that as well. But basically, it addresses, one of the main things it addresses is everything we've done since the fire of what was looked at as alternatives, because this is a unique property. Each of the 11 owners, including myself, because I'm an owner, my wife and I are an owner, all we own is a 20 by 30 plat. That's it. The rest of the property in this almost 3 acres is common property, which means it's equally owned between the 11 owners. But again, yeah, if we were to sell one of our units, which one of the units did sell a few months ago, what you're selling is your building and your 20 by 30 plat. That is it. Anything else takes, every owner has a skin in the game on that. I will say at this point, we did look at every alternative, including expanding. We ruled out moving it to a different part of the property right away because that caused all kinds of complications, including from Maureen. Maureen's family bought that particular plat because of the view you have of the beach, not necessarily the ocean, but of the beach. And that's why it's at the angle that it is. Units 1 through 9 have a much better view of straight at the ocean because they're parallel to the ocean, but unit 10 and 11 are not. So moving that to a different part of the property was never discussed, not to mention all the complications. And we got that from attorneys. We got that from contractors. We got that from pretty much every avenue we looked at, and that's all included in that letter. When we came to actual design, back to the question that was asked earlier, again, we found out that we had to be at that elevated height. And we knew we wanted a building that would blend in with the rest and kind of the cityscape from a visual standpoint. We looked at a flat roof at one point. We were advised by all the experts that you don't want to have a flat roof in that particular location of the coast. It has to be constructed of different materials. That doesn't do anything but causes problems. Not to mention, it doesn't blend in with the architecture that's already on the property. So we did look at the different pitch levels. There's something that would blend in. By going to the pitch level that was mentioned, it eliminated the attic that the rest of the units have. It eliminated vaulted ceilings that the rest of the units have. But it was able to still give it that little bit of a look that blends in and still keep the square footage. So those alternatives were all looked at. Being an HOA board member, It's normally about a 2 or 3 hour a year job as a volunteer for our particular community. Since this fire, it's been much more than that. So it's been a full-time job looking at everything we've had to look at through the course of this whole thing.
Mr. Guy, I'm gonna have to ask you, you have 15 minutes. I don't know if we need to, how much more you're gonna need for that. I'd like to ask you a question or two.
Yeah, I'm pretty much, I think the only other point I wanted to make, and it's ironic that if for some reason we were to figure out a way to sell common property on that one little area that you see between the fence and the old 11 deal, so they could spread sideways. If we were to sell that property and sell Unit 11's plat, if Maureen were elected to do that, it would be complicated. But the irony of that is if that were to be sold off separately, then you'd have a lot, not a plat. You'd have a small lot, not much different than the one next door to us. But all of a sudden, it would not be considered oceanfront because it would not be part of the property of the breakers. It would be falling and have a different height variance. That height, it wouldn't have a height variance. I mean, it would be a 35-foot that you could go to without, and there wouldn't be a variance request at all. That's obviously not what we want to do. It's not what Maureen wants to do. But it's ironic that if it were a separate piece of property that we wouldn't even be sitting here. So.
I appreciate that perspective. My question was going to be, just mostly a comment was I think for me, the visual is helpful, except for that's from ground level, not from someone else's second floor view.
Yeah, and there is a second floor on both units across the street.
And that's looking.
You're still looking at the side of Unit 11. You're not looking over Unit 11.
Is that looking directly west from this? Is this a westerly look?
Yes.
Okay.
The ocean's just on the other side of those 3 units.
Okay, great. That's all I have. Commissioner Scar, do you have any questions, Mr. Garrett?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you.
You may have answered my question with your presentation already, but specific to why it couldn't, let me check out with you whether or not you answered my question. Specific to why it couldn't be spread out on one level rather than 2. It's because what you own is the limited plat map, and that would double the size of the plat map.
Correct. I mean, you'd want to go probably 40 by 30. I'm sure depending on the designer, they might be able to do that a little bit different. But in theory, you'd want to be 2 600 square foot floors side by side instead of stacked.
Right.
And so you would be going sideways. I don't think you can go a full sideways in that particular view with the same angle to the ocean without running into the easement there off Breakers Boulevard or the property line. I'm not sure what those dimensions would look like, but it was certainly it would be the same height that it was before. It would just, again, it would not look right from the street perspective, particularly if you were across the street, because it'd be right on that borderline. But the most important reason we can't do that is because Maureen doesn't own that. Maureen owns the 20 by 30 flat. She doesn't own the open space next to it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Appreciate your comment. At this point, I'd like to open up for any public comment. Do we have anybody online or listed?
If I may, Chair Fournier, we would just ask that if you would like to provide public comment, please use the raise your hand feature and stay muted with your cameras off until Commissioner Fournier calls on you. I can help you do that. And then the other piece would be, please state your name and address, your mailing address for the record so that we can send you notice of a decision when the hearings are done.
Okay, I see 2 hands up. Debbie, I can't see the name, so if you could just.
Lori.
First one be Lisa Severino. If you're ready, you can unmute your mic and you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and actual address because you will be part of the record to receive the decision. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lori Severino. The county has my email address, so you can send me the notice there. But my family owns the house at 4315 Mount Angel. and I'm here to express concerns with the variance and offer a solution based on my professional opinion as a planner. First, the county's ordinance allows a variance only when circumstances unique to a lot would deny the owner a property right their neighbors enjoy, if all applicable standards were to be met. That test is not met here. Every oceanfront property in Neskowin faces the same constraint when it rebuilds. The application assumes this unit must be 2 stories at its current square footage to match the other breakers units, but those units, when rebuilt, will face the same height limit and flood standards. The comparison must be to future compliant neighbors, not to today's non-conforming buildings. So here's what concerns me most. The trigger for this variance is the requirement to elevate new structures above the floodplain, acknowledging the growing possibility of a major storm surge. When that or another disaster occurs and the other 10 units need to rebuild, will the county grant them the same variance? If the answer is no, you have no principled basis for granting the variance to Unit 11 today. If yes, you have effectively repealed the 25-foot height limit for the entire breaker's property, not just Unit 11. That would be a policy change without public process and a violation of statewide planning goal number 1. Rather, the county needs to consider how to prepare for the same issue on other units on the breaker's property and avoid setting a problematic precedent with this one variance. There is a better path. While one lot is constrained, the whole property is not. The county could condition the variance approval on a site plan showing how all breakers units can be rebuilt in compliance with both the height limit and flood standards using a more efficient layout. Please see my comment letters for details, and thank you for the opportunity to speak and for your consideration.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay.
Alex Sifford.
You can say it.
Yeah. Alex Sifford.
Alex, you can go ahead and unmute. Alex Sifford, it's Europe. When you have 3 minutes.
Can you hear me now?
You
Yes.
can't hear you. Thank you. You have
Thank
3
you.
minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your allowing me to speak at this hearing. My name is Alex Sifford. I reside at 48390 Breakers Boulevard in Neskowin. I have submitted my comments in writing supporting the appellants in this matter. And my house is an example of a home that is one home removed from the ocean front, and I'm very happily back a one lot length. But I can foresee a similar circumstance here where, again, the neighbor in front could suffer enough damage that they trigger this whole response in terms of community development requirements, and goes from 24 feet. Again, why not build up to 35 if they're allowed to? So again, I think that the precedent setting here is enormous. And I also would like to think that even though the breakers condominium owners apparently only own that one tiny lot that the building resides on, there's nothing that prevents them from working cooperatively with the HOA to do a lot line adjustment and take or exchange or acquire a portion of the common area to achieve their goals, their mutual goals. So again, I think there's physically enough property they could come to a better compromise than going straight up. And again, I think this sets a terrible precedent for rebuilding that's probably going to happen not just at the breakers, but at all the oceanfront homes at some point in the future. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your comments. And
Maureen O'Donnell.
Maureen O'Donnell, you're up. If you could please give your address or email address. And you have 3 minutes.
Hi there. My name is Maureen O'Donnell. I just wanted to put my face to a name that you've seen throughout the nearly 4 years since our fire at the breakers. And as the property is unique, our trust situation is unique as well. And I just wanted to reiterate that I am a co-trustee along with Wells Fargo, and basically they take direction from us. Our family trust is really unique in that it was set up due to a vaccine-related injury for our son, who is now 33. And we lived, having lived in Alaska for 30 years, during that time, we were able to make the purchase of this property. And having extended family here in Oregon, I have 7 younger siblings who have partners and spouses and children. My mom is here. And it was really a special place for our family to come every year while having lived in Alaska. We moved back to Oregon 6 years ago, which,
Maureen,
yeah.
we just realized because you are technically the applicant, you would have had to speak during that period and not as a public.
Okay.
I
I'm
apologize. for
sorry.
that.
This is all brand new in terms of.
It's all new
speaking
for me too, so I was just,
that.
I'm reading my people here telling me that. So I appreciate you wanting to comment, and if
Well,
the
you
next
have,
hearing.
you have the letter that I wrote, so that pretty much sums it up. And I just want to reiterate that Ready to Market was absolutely hired by us. So,
Okay, and you're also welcome at the next hearing to provide the testimony during that portion.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I think that's it.
I believe so. The only person signed up for testimony was the representative for the applicant. So I think we are done with public comment today. If no one else online wishes to speak that is not the applicant or appellant.
Okay, so at this point, we'll stop this hearing and we'll make the decision on what to do for the next hearing, which is
Correct.
already scheduled.
Correct.
And I'll ask my fellow commissioners for their input. I would opt to just leave the comment open as is for the next hearing. Commissioner Scar, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think our choices were to leave all public comment open or only leave written public comment open. Is that correct?
That's correct. I prefer person to just leave it open like we did today and allow for the public comment in person if they want or online.
And Sarah, is that totally acceptable? And is there a reason we would not want to do that?
Thank you, Commissioner Scar. You can leave both oral and written testimony options open for the public comment period. It means that we would start the hearing on the 26th with any additional oral testimony. And before the applicants and appellants were able to provide final comments. If you feel like there's adequate evidence in the record, you can not do oral testimony and just leave the written record open, which is what decision makers have the ability to do. But it's certainly your choice to go either way. It's more of a preference thing at this point than a requirement. We have to leave the public comment period open one way or the other.
Okay, thank you. And is there any concern that we have? I feel like there was a timing concern on the hearings and making sure that we achieved what we needed to in the time provided. And is there any concern in leaving all public comment open that we will run afoul of that because of information? You know, I just want to make sure that it doesn't change anything about our being on track for when our decision is due.
Sure, thank you. It shouldn't. The only thing is that if at this juncture, if you leave the entire public comment period open, you're concerned about substantial new evidence being presented at the hearing versus prior to the hearing. Either the applicant or the appellant could request a continuation, which then could essentially delay deliberation and decision. To do that, we would ask that they sign the waiver, the time period waiver in which we have to make a decision. But because there is ultimately inherently a continuation built into this process, it would be at the board's discretion to decide whether or not they wanted to continue the hearing. So either way, you still have the ability to make a decision on August 26th so that we meet that statutory due process timeline.
Okay, thank you. Then I'm fine with leaving it open as long as it doesn't impact our ability to meet our requirements. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we'll just resume. So what we will do is, as Melissa shared, the public comment received to date has already been uploaded on the department website for the land use application page for the specific appeal process. We will provide an updated staff report, which will probably be a memorandum with any additional comments received a week before the hearing. And then we will leave testimony open to where people can come and sign in again or be online to take oral testimony on the 26th. And then when that is over to proceed, you would close the public comment portion period of the hearing on the 26th.
Sounds good. So just to officially say this, this hearing will resume at 9:45 a.m. on Wednesday, August 26th, and the virtual meeting access details will continue to be posted on the DCD webpage.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Can I just provide
Melissa?
one statement about the public testimony? Because we'll be publishing the additional findings next Wednesday in preparation, because we have to get you the packet the week before the August 26th hearing. So just for anybody listening, if you do have additional written testimony that you want to add to the record prior to providing any oral testimony at the 26th hearing, it would be appreciated if we could receive it by Monday so that we can put it in the hearing packet that will go out on Wednesday. We will take testimony up until such time, but it is easier for staff to organize if we can receive it a couple days before publication of the packet.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that because we read the packets and the stuff that comes in, you gave us some new testimony when we got here today, which we'll read after the fact, but it's nice to be able to read them beforehand.
Yes, and if we can receive them by that Monday, if there is any, clarifications that staff would want to make in our memorandums or any supplemental findings, it gives us adequate time to do that before preparation of the
That
packet.
information's on your website.
Correct.
Yes, and they can reach out to us.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing at this point. I will close the public hearing at 11:14. And I'm going to take a recess for 5 minutes from this regular board meeting, and then we're going to be going to executive session. So for now, I'm just going to take a 5-minute recess.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we are reconvening our board meeting, and I'm going to read the other meeting and announcement portion of this before we go into an executive session. The commissioners will attend the Board of Commissioners luncheon if we can get out of here on time. Today, Wednesday, August 12th at 12 p.m. at Blue Heron French Cheese Company, 2001 Blue Heron Road, A, Tillamook. There is no board briefing for today, Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. The local Public Safety Coordinating Council teleconference will be held Monday, August 17th, 2026 at 12 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 in the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. The teleconference number is 1-971-254-3149, conference ID 155-858-952 #. The commissioners will hold a work session on Monday, August 17th, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. to discuss the county administrative annex. The work session will be held here in the Board of Commissioners Meeting Room 106 at the Tillamook County Courthouse, 201 Laurel Avenue, Tillamook. And the Tillamook County Courthouse will be closed on Friday, August 21st, 2026 from 8 a.m. to 12 noon for in-service training. And with that, we are going to recess for an executive session at 11:25 a.m. Brian, can you tell us what we are doing?
Yes, Mr. Chair, pursuant to ORS 192.660, subparagraph 2H, to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we will open an executive session. We are out of executive sessions, and we will now reconvene this board meeting at 11:45 and adjourn this board meeting at 11:45. Thank you very much.